Joining us right here on the ADOM Facebook page. I'm your host, John Stamper, and as always, it is exciting to be with you. We are continuing our focus on so many of the great companies in our profession and another episode of the Featured Company Livecast right here in ADOM. So excited to have a guest back with us. We've got Charles Brown, who's the COO from Abella, who was with us before. And Charles, it's great to have you back. How you doing, man?
Doing great, John. Thanks for having me back.
Awesome. All right. So today, Charles has a lot of great things to share. He's going to talk a little bit about AR and a lot of the different cool features that Abella is bringing to dental practices all across the country and throughout our profession. Before we do that, Charles, I'd love to have you take just a little bit of time. We've got a lot of new ADOM members, so we'd love to have you share a little bit about Abella and yourself, and then we'll get right into some of the heart of what you want to talk about today.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I don't know if anyone cares to hear too much about me, but I've been in dentistry for over a decade. And I think more importantly, on the topic of Abella, Abella is a patient account receivable software. And, I feel like we got way ahead of this one a couple of years ago when we were launching the brand. It was all about how to make it easier for patients to pay. Insurance 9 times out of 10 is going to leave a small balance that a patient's going to owe anywhere from $10 or $20 to maybe $200 or $300 or more. And traditionally, when we looked at it, practices are making phone calls, sending statements, which no one wants to have to do. No one at a dental office wants to have to make phone calls to someone about call them up and say, hey, you owe us $50 or $20 or $200, whatever it might be. And paper statements are kind of suboptimal in today's world, right? They're relatively ineffective. They can be kind of expensive as well. And again, there's not a real good way to kind of track to see like how many people have we really sent them to, how often have we sent them out to people, and who's opened them, like who's actually acknowledged them, right? It's kind of too easy to ignore it. And so with Abella, what we do is we've leveraged text messaging, email capability, also the ability for you to also send paper statements through Abella, but leveraging electronic communication to be able to essentially see, and especially through our integration with your dental software, where you can see a list of all the people who owe you money. You can submit a batch of them and set a frequency and configure it to offer payment terms to people, but also just kind of drips on them, text and emails, letting them know that they have a balance due with your practice. Gives them the opportunity to just click the link, see who they owe it, why they owe it. Obviously, has your number in there, and they can click to call you, but makes it really easy for the patient to just see what they owe, why they owe it, and opt into a payment plan or pay their balance in full.
Yeah, I love that. So, one of the things that I really enjoyed about this feature company spot, as you know, Charles, on a daily basis, you guys are connecting with practices and customers, and you're really hearing what's going on in the area of expertise that you guys focus on, which is what you just mentioned. And so my first question is how are practices with what you guys are seeing typically collecting their AR nowadays? There's been a lot of different ways to do it. It's not always been the easiest thing for a practice, like you mentioned, on to reach out to patients. I know practices in many cases have always been really sensitive because of the nature of serving their families and things like that. But how are practices collecting AR today?
What's crazy about it is every time we've talked to a dental practice, especially, one that comes, so I come after the last time we did our live cast together, we had, several inquiries about it. But everyone's doing the same thing. We're making phone calls to people. We're mailing statements out to people, and, they kind of acknowledge that it's time, something needs to change now, right? Because when you ask them how long they've been doing that, well, I've been doing that for 20 years or 30 years or what have you, right? And so they've been doing it for a long time. And I think we're seeing a lot of practices that are acknowledging that it's time to do something different.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I'm always amused when practices learn that there is a way to do it faster. And yet, like you mentioned, we know it's comfort. They stick to kind of where they were and what they've always done. But can you touch on really specifically how you guys at Abella and a lot of your systems and processes and technology is actually helping them collect faster?
Yeah, so it's making it to where, you can easily identify who owes you money. In particular, again, I think, I don't, not to beat up insurance, but, insurance causes a lot of these patient balances and these patient portions that are left over that after services have been delivered days, weeks, even months after the fact. Now we have a balance that's surfaced that the patient may be surprised by. And so it makes it easy for you to very quickly identify on a daily basis who are the folks that, after say all their insurance claims have settled and all that you've been paid on that these are people who truly owe you money. You can push them through Abella, and Abella will just take care of everything else for you. But the text message is instant, emails are instant, they're right there, and people can just review them at their own convenience. We see people that are opting in and paying their dental provider now through Abella at all hours of the day and night, 7 days a week, which is, even on holidays and stuff, times when a lot of people are paying when the dental practice isn't even open. So it kind of also shows you how convenient you're making it for your patients to be able to review in their own privacy what they owe, why they owe it, and be able to pay you directly without having to talk to someone on the phone about it, or and work out a payment plan with them over the phone, and just things like that are typically people want to just naturally want it to be a little more private to them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know about you, but I have found myself, even though I know we get tons of emails, like because of that, it feels like many of us are using our email box as almost like our organizational hub, right? So in other words, like I might not get to it right now, but it's in there. And so when I'm going to search for a lot of different things, like, I search that way. And most of the time, if you get a medical or a dental bill or you have AR, I mean, yeah, if you don't want to pay it, you might delete it. But for most people, right, they want to go ahead and make sure that they leave it in there. And it's true, right? You're kind of browsing through your email and, oh, you know what a great reminder that you need to go ahead and pay that. So I think it is kind of fascinating, like you mentioned, that the numbers you guys are seeing is that most people are paying for these things during the hours when the practice is not even open, which what a great way, right, for them to be able to, get that AR in the practice and at the same time not always have those uncomfortable conversations that they might have to have.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because we'll have, we'll even reach out to the consumer or the patient a lot of times, financially responsible individual, and just kind of survey them, especially the ones that have paid in particular. Even the practice as well, especially when we onboard any new customer. And it's kind of funny how, the patients will say the kind of the same thing. Oh, I thought I might have owed something. I think I got a statement. I think I got a phone call, but this just made it easy for me. And then, we talk to the practices and they're like, especially when we first onboard any new customer, we're helping them really flush out or clean up that big backlog of AR. All the, they say, well, hey, I've got, millions of dollars, or I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in, patient AR that is from the last 5 years that's we've accumulated, or some of our DSOs, where it's, hey, we've acquired these practices and they already had a lot of AR. But when we talk to the practice about it and ask them how it's going, and they're kind of go over the results with them, a lot of times they're saying, hey, yeah, Mr. So-and-so, this person, that person. And, we chased them down. I know that person in particular. I called them. We sent them, 30 statements over the last year and a half. And, we put them through Abella and they just click on the link and just pay. They're just kind of dumbfounded by the amount of effort that they put into it themselves to try to reach, particular people that they saw on the list that paid through Abella. And, again, as soon as they put them in Abella, they paid within minutes, hours, or, within a couple of days. So it's kind of funny.
I was going to ask you how this makes the patient experience better. And it's a little bit counterintuitive, right? Because I'm sitting here thinking to myself that they paid it quickly, right? And one would think that, people in some cases, whether for whatever reason they lost the bill or what have you, but it is making the experience better, as you know, Charles, because for many people, I think what happens is that it's just another item off of their to-do list, right? They sit down, they've got a to-do list of, bills and things they got to get caught up on. And I think to your point, it's like, if the organization and the practice can make it easy for me, like, thank you. That's one less thing they got to chase down, sit on a phone, call somebody back when I don't have time, when they don't have time. It really does make the patient experience so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it reinforces the practice. Everything with Abella is branded from the practice's perspective. So, the consumer, the patient, in this case, they really don't even know anything about Abella. They see it just coming from their dental provider, right? So everything's branded for the practice. It's reinforcing their brand. It's kind of powered by Abella. So, it's kind of introducing it to the patient, I guess, in a very subtle way. But it's a really great opportunity to reinforce your brand, speaking from the dental practice's perspective, and kind of showing them that you're also looking for ways to be able to make it more convenient for them to pay and more private. I think privacy is something that isn't talked about enough. I think, like you were talking about how we go back through our emails, we might see it later on in the evening, whereas maybe we didn't notice it during the day while we were at work, which is when they're typically calling us now, or or sending us
Right.
statements in the mail, but the privacy aspect of, having to talk about money with someone, especially if
Right.
you get a message or a statement in the mail that says you owe 400 or 500 bucks, or,
Right.
any amount. A lot of times, a lot of families can't support
Mhm.
research shows that, the average household in America can't, afford to pay a $400 or 500 expense out of pocket.
Mhm.
That's kind of unexpected. So if you get hit with this, especially if it's a considerable amount, you really don't have to, no one wants to have to tell someone on the other end of the phone that they can't afford it. Right. And
Mhm.
so I think the privacy aspect of being able to see what you owe and kind of why you owe it, but being able to make the decision consciously on your own of, I can pay this in full, I'm going to do it, or to go ahead and opt into a payment plan over, say, 3 or 4 months or 6 months to be able to pay this balance and make it more manageable. And the interesting part about that also, though, is that even though most practices are offering, a number of payment terms to pay the balance within a Bella. We see most people that just go online and pay the balance in full without
Yeah.
even questioning it. So it's kind of interesting. Even though you do give some people payment options, they're not even taking advantage of it, which kind of shows that you got to, if you make it easy for people, you're going to have more people pay you, and they're going to pay you faster as well, because a lot of people are paying through a Bella before a statement could even hit their mailbox.
Mhm. Yeah, Amazon has certainly proved that, right? There's certainly people have no problem clicking that button and buying from Amazon, and they've proved that. So if that's working for them,
That is true.
why not speed that up? So you mentioned a little bit about statements. Is that something that the practice can control? Can you control through the Abella platform, like who gets statements? If you've sat down with your team and kind of determined, okay, we need these statements to go to who, is that possible?
That's exactly right. That's what I think a big part of what Abella does, on the front end is just make it works right into the workflow of the billing team, regardless of who that is that's kind of managing the patient AR side. It makes it very easy for you to kind of visualize, again, through our integration with your practice management system, visualize who are the people that truly owe me money, that don't have payment plans. With our practice, they don't have any pending claims. The things that are important to the practice in terms of who truly owes us money, that you know there's no liability or anything pending against it, that we would send them a statement, or we would make a phone call to them. Traditionally, we can easily see those people and push them through Abella, and they can configure Abella to kind of automate the follow-up from there, unlike, say, traditionally with paper statements or making phone calls. Every round that you go through, that's manual, right? I got to cycle back through it and manually figure out who I need to call and who I need to send a statement to, versus this, where you're able to easily identify on the front end who owes us money. Nope, nothing pending against it. Let's submit them through Abella, and let's configure Abella to deliver an automated follow-up to get them to pay or encourage them to pay every so many days, for up to say 90 days or 60 days, right? Whatever they want to set it to, including what type of payment options that they want to have presented in there within the bill that they see when they click on the link to pay. So again, it kind of, like, to your point, they can just push them through and then let Abella do the rest from there, and again, Bella's going to keep kind of following up and working that. You can almost look at it like, traditionally it'd be as though once you submitted your patient statements to go through at one time, and phone calls to happen, that stuff would just keep happening on a frequency until people pay or opt into a payment plan.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that more and more patients, like you mentioned, it's almost like they're like expecting this, right? It's like, please make this easy for me. And on that side, and on the practice side, I'm sure you guys have to be seeing this. Um, how much time do you really think the practices are saving on this? Because I would imagine once they start doing it more and more, like, you guys probably get a lot of data. I'm sure just success stories and things like that you hear from your customers. But if we really are going to break it down into literally the amount of time that they're saving, that they could be doing other things that they know they need to do in the practice, and any data on that.
It kind of depends on the volume, I think, of the practice. The ones that are obviously the high volume dental practices, heavy PPO, they're saving probably, 10 to 20 hours a week.
Mhm.
If you look at a lot of the, just kind of the average practice, maybe bread and butter, general practice, that's, PPO office as well. Most of our customers are all PPO.
Mhm.
But, they're probably saving at least, 6 to 8 hours a week easily, from what they were traditionally doing. But in a lot of times, practices, when they come to us, they acknowledge that they were spending, one full day a week, sometimes a day and a half, 2 days a week, on just their patient AR, or 2 or 3 days, a month. But most of them also acknowledged, hey, you know what? I haven't sent statements in, 3 or 4 months, or I haven't made phone calls, or I'm behind on this, I'm behind on that. And it's because that, they're wearing a million other hats, right? And
Yeah.
they're doing a bunch of different things in the practice. So this just makes them not, I mean, yeah, that's a good point about the time savings.
Mhm.
It frees up your time. One, it's going to make you more effective in this area of your business,
Right.
but it's going to free up that person or that team of people's time to be able to focus on other things that are maybe just or even more important to the business.
Yeah, and that's one thing I say a lot, and I tend to be a little bit biased about our ADOM audience because I know the office managers that have really bought into so many of the ideas of being that person that runs that practice, being accountable and so on and so forth. They know that when they can save time, so many of them know what to do with it. It's almost kind of like if I could just find a way with one of these systems to kind of help me save time. I've got 5 other things over here that once I can kind of breathe a little bit, I got a lot of things I can do to manage this practice and help the practice owner grow, which is great. One of the cool things about these live casts is when we get the companies to come on and they can talk about success stories, right? Like real life scenarios of when you guys, work with an office and they implement this. Maybe they were doing it, like you said, the old way for so many years. They decided to move forward. Anything that you want to share that gets exciting from your perspective that you think would be valuable?
I think the most exciting part is just, for me, it's centered around the backlog of AR. The stuff that they claim that, hey, we worked this. We sent them statements, we made the phone calls, we did all these things to, try to get these folks to pay. It's just sitting on our books. It's been sitting on the books for months, some years. Like I said earlier, a lot of the times whenever we onboard any new customer, they're loading AR into a Bella that's, a couple of years old, 2 or 3 years old or older. And, the number of people that don't even question it, just go online to Abella and just use the link and pay through the text or the email. They don't call the practice. They don't dispute the balance. They don't call and argue or complain about it. They just go online and pay. And it's, to me, that's kind of unbelievable. Just really cool considering, how old some of that AR is, where those people
Yeah.
just get it. And because I know myself, if I got it, I'm going to call and at least question it,
Yeah.
that I haven't been to your practice in a long time. So I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. And, it gets, and just the amount of, I guess, engagement that it has just right out of the gate. To me, that's the coolest part about it for sure.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so I know the ADOM team put together a lot of great links right in the comments thread. The first thing I was going to ask you is, looks like you guys are offering the ADOM community a free trial until January 1st, 2021. Oh, it's nice to see that 2021 again with the year that we've had with 2020. So that's cool to see. Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about the free trial that you guys are offering the ADOM community?
Yeah, so we look at it as, this is an absolute no-brainer, but we know obviously with anything new, that, hey, there's, I guess, new to the maybe the ADOM community. We want to give you an opportunity to take advantage of this the rest of the year at no cost. So you have absolutely nothing to lose. All you got to do is just go to the site, reference ADOM, reference this live cast. If you just simply reference ADOM, then you'll get a free trial until January 1st. No obligations, cancel anytime. So for whatever reason, if you weren't happy, you can stop using it. But, I think that also is a testament to how confident we are that the practice is going to love it. When you sign up and use it within the first, hour, you're going to be like, okay, this is something that we have to have for the long term. But so yeah, free trial, again, no obligations, you can cancel anytime. And, I know, hey, even some may use it. We've had some practices that are real low volume that they might use it just to clean up their backlog AR in the free trial. And hey, that's
Right.
okay.
Right.
So take advantage of the opportunity now, because hopefully 21 will be a much better year for everybody. And, we may not be doing these free trials very much longer.
I love that. All right. Where's a great place that people can, I mean, obviously we put the link in there for the free trial, but if you want to let them know just, any other way for them to learn more about the great work you guys are doing and how they can learn more about Abella.
Yeah, just go to abellaar.com. I think, and that's key, abellaar.com, not just Abella, but abellaar.com. Just go to the website, and take a look around, submit a request to be contacted by a rep, and someone will reach out very quickly and, provide you with any additional information you need. We have a lot of other information we can provide, like product information, product demos, Even more than happy to connect them with a list of, active customers for, those potential customers that are looking at it, who may have some reservations for whatever reason, who want to just talk to other people about their experience with it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Charles, thanks so much, man. It's great to not only see you once these last couple months, but to see you twice. I think it's nice as we do these for a lot of the ADOM community to see the commitment companies like yourself are making to getting the word out. Certainly you guys feel very strongly about how you can help, and anything that anybody can do to help AR get lower makes it good for everybody, right? That's definitely a win-win. So we really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Good seeing you, John. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Charles. Take care.